This is True Crime Pod with Niko and Luna.
Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? Today we're taking on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list.
We're going deep, beyond just the names and mugshots. We're talking about the lives, the crimes, the psychology, the whole nine yards.
Exactly. We're using the FBI's official website as our guide, so consider this your all-access pass to the inner workings of some of the most intense manhunts happening right now.
And trust me, the stories behind these cases are wilder than anything you'd see in the movies.
Oh, I absolutely believe it. Speaking of wild, let's kick things off with Alejandro Rosales Castillo. This one immediately caught my eye. The guy was last seen working at a donut shop. Talk about hiding in plain sight.
Right. You'd never suspect it. But this isn't about soul and sprinkles, my friend. Castillo's wanted for allegedly killing a coworker in Charlotte, North Carolina, back in 2016.
Wow, 2016. That's not exactly a recent crime. He's been on the run for a while now.
Yeah, the FBI thinks he hightailed it to Mexico right after it happened. They even have footage of him crossing the border. Word on the street is he's got connections down there, especially in Aguascalientes, Mexico.
Well, that narrows it down.
Right. Aguascalientes, Guanajuato, Veracruz. He could be anywhere down there.
Living a double life. But get this. His FBI profile lists a bunch of aliases. Alexandro Castillo, Alex Castillo, Alejandro Rosales, you name it.
Maybe he wants to be found, you know? Or, more likely, he's trying to blend in. They even think he might have changed his appearance. Picture this. Shaved head, maybe a beard, a whole new identity.
Like trying to catch a ghost. No wonder they're offering $250,000 for information leading to his arrest.
That's a serious chunk of change. Sometimes that's all it takes, though, you know? One tip, one phone call, and bam, case closed.
Speaking of cases that'll send shivers down your spine, our next fugitive is Alexis Flores. He's wanted for the kidnapping and murder of a 5-year-old girl in Philadelphia. This one's from 2000. We're talking over 2 decades on the run.
Ugh, it's heartbreaking. What gets me is that he was actually deported to Honduras in 2005 for burglary. They had no clue about the Philadelphia case.
Wait, so he was right under their noses?
Life's stranger than fiction sometimes. It wasn't until later that they linked him to the Philadelphia case with DNA evidence. But by then, poof, he was gone. Vanished.
So where do they even begin to look after all this time?
Well, they think he's probably hiding out in Honduras or a neighboring country. He used to work as a handyman, perfect cover to blend in, maybe disappear entirely. New name, new life. It's chilling.
It's terrifying, the audacity of it all. Okay, get ready for this one. Arnoldo Jimenez is wanted for allegedly murdering his wife hours after their wedding.
Oh man, talk about a nightmare scenario. Imagine the devastation. They just said, I do, celebrated with family and friends, and then...
Just awful. It happened back in 2012, just outside of Chicago. According to his profile.
Yeah.
They had the reception, everything seemed fine, and then she's found dead in their apartment. Senseless.
And Jimenez, gone. The FBI believes that he took off to Mexico. He's got family in Durango, and there have been possible sightings in Reynosa, Tamaulipas.
So we've got Castillo potentially in Mexico, and now Jimenez too.
It's a pattern we see a lot, unfortunately. International borders can be tricky for law enforcement.
Different laws, different languages, it's a whole other ballgame. And speaking of crossing borders, our next case takes us into the world of Bhadresh Kumar Chetanbhai Patel. This guy's wanted poster is like a global manhunt on one page, Gujarati, Hindi, everything. What's the deal with this Bhadresh Kumar Chetanbhai Patel?
So Patel's wanted for a brutal murder at, of all places, a donut shop in Maryland.
Another donut shop.
Yeah, it's a reminder that these cases can happen anywhere, anytime. Back in 2015, he allegedly killed his wife at their workplace, then skipped town, fled the U.S., actually.
And where'd he go?
The FBI thinks he might have headed back to India, or at least somewhere with a large Indian community. It's common, you know. Blend in, speak the language, maybe even find people willing to help you disappear.
A home away from home, but not in a good way. You can run, but can you hide? Speaking of, let's talk about Donald Eugene Fields II. His case, it's about the alleged sex trafficking of children in Missouri. Just awful.
It's truly horrific. And the thing is, he's believed to be hiding out somewhere in Missouri or Kentucky.
Seriously. Still in the U.S.
Yeah, Franklin County, Missouri is the last place he was known to be living. They say he frequented casinos.
So he could be just blending in, playing slots next to an unsuspecting family. That's scary.
It's a chilling reminder that these criminals often live seemingly normal lives, right under our noses. It could be anyone, your neighbor, the guy in line at the grocery store.
Makes you want to be extra vigilant, report anything suspicious. You never know, right? That one call could be it. Okay, ready for a nickname straight out of a comic book. Omar Alexander Cardenas, also known as the Owl, is wanted for a murder in broad daylight.
Talk about brazen. This wasn't some back alley deal gone wrong. We're talking a shooting in broad daylight at a shopping center in Sylmar, California.
In broad daylight. Bold move. When did this happen?
Back in 2019, he's been off the grid ever since.
Any leads?
FBI thinks he might have flown the coop to Mexico, maybe hiding out in his family's hometown, where people are less likely to ask questions.
Like a phantom disappearing into the shadows. And speaking of elusive, our next fugitive takes us into the world of cryptocurrency and international finance. Ruha Ignatova, better known as the Crypto Queen. She's wanted for allegedly scamming investors out of billions.
Billions with a B. This wasn't some small-time operation.
Yeah, I remember this story. It was huge. Weren't there rumors about plastic surgery, secret identities, the whole shebang?
Right. People were saying she was living it up on a private island somewhere, sipping cocktails with all that stolen money.
So what was her deal? How'd she pull it off?
She was the brains behind OneCoin, which turned out to be a classic Ponzi scheme. As soon as things started to unravel, she vanished, poof, gone without a trace in 2017.
2017. And they still haven't found her?
Nope. But they're offering a hefty reward, $5 million, for any information that leads to her arrest.
$5 million. Wow. Okay, talk about a life changer. That's some serious incentive to spill the beans. All right, switching gears a bit, our next case is just brutal. Vitelhom Innocent, the alleged leader of a Haitian gang called Craze Barai, is wanted in connection with the kidnapping of 17 Christian missionaries.
This was heavy. It happened back in 2021, and they weren't all adults. 5 of the hostages were children. The youngest was just 8 months old.
Oh my God. 8 months old. That's just, I don't even have words.
It's horrifying. They were held hostage for over 2 months, living in unimaginable conditions while their captors demanded ransoms.
2 months. That's just inhumane.
And tragically, Innocent's alleged crimes didn't end there. The FBI believes he was involved in another kidnapping, this time a U.S. citizen, a year later in 2022.
Oh no. What happened?
The hostage, another American, was killed during the kidnapping. It's a grim reminder of the level of violence associated with some of these individuals.
And to think there's a $2 million reward out for Innocent's capture. $2 million. That's a life-changing amount of money.
It speaks volumes about the severity of his alleged crimes and how determined they are to bring him to justice.
Absolutely. So, are we ready for our final fugitive of the day?
Hit me with it.
All right, this one's a doozy. Let's talk about Wilver Villegas Palomino. His story, it's like something out of a movie: drug trafficking, violence, political instability. We're going deep into the heart of darkness with this one.
Villegas Palomino is thought to be a high-ranking member of the National Liberation Army, ELN, for short, in Colombia. They're a guerrilla group involved in all sorts of shady business, drug trafficking, kidnapping, attacks on government forces, the works.
Not exactly the kind of guys you want to run into in a dark alley.
Not unless you have a death wish. The U.S. government has them officially labeled as a terrorist organization.
Wow, that's serious. What's Villegas Palomino wanted for specifically?
Drug trafficking, mainly. The FBI believes he's been moving massive amounts of cocaine from Colombia to the U.S.
Fueling the very drug trade that destroys countless lives. It's sickening.
It is. And here's where it gets really interesting. The FBI is asking anyone with information to contact them through WhatsApp.
Wait, WhatsApp? Like the messaging app?
The one and only. It just goes to show how law enforcement is adapting to the digital age, using every tool at their disposal to catch these guys.
I mean, it makes sense, right? In today's hyper-connected world, sometimes all it takes is a simple message.
Exactly. It really highlights how crucial public awareness is. You never know that one message, that one phone call could be the key to cracking a case wide open. Yeah, and during that kidnapping, another American was killed. It's a harsh reminder of just how dangerous these guys can be.
It's a scary thought. And to think, there's a $2 million reward for any info that leads to Innocent's arrest. That's INZIA life-changing money.
No kidding. It really shows how badly they want to catch him and how serious these crimes are.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to our final fugitive, Wilver Villegas Palomino. His story takes us deep into the world of drug trafficking, violence, the whole 9 yards.
Fulegas Palomino is believed to be a big shot in the National Liberation Army, ELN, they call it, in Colombia. They're a guerrilla group heavily involved in drug trafficking, kidnapping, the whole shebang.
Not someone you want to mess with.
Nope. The U.S. government's even labeled them a terrorist organization.
Wow, that's intense. So what's he wanted for specifically?
Mostly drug trafficking. The FBI believes he's been moving tons of cocaine from Colombia to the U.S.
Fueling the very thing that destroys so many lives. It's just...
It is. And here's the kicker. They're asking for information through, get this, WhatsApp.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
WhatsApp? Like the messaging app?
Yep. It just goes to show you law enforcement's got to adapt with the times, right?
It makes sense. Nowadays, a simple message could be all it takes to crack a case wide open.
Exactly. It really highlights how important it is for people to be aware, to speak up if they see something. You never know, your tip could be the one that brings a fugitive to justice.
That's a good point to end on. We've covered some heavy stuff today, from small-town murders to international scams, even kidnappings.
We really dove deep into the darkest corners of the world, that's for sure.
We saw the lengths people will go to for money, power, even just to disappear. But we also saw the dedication of law enforcement, working tirelessly to track these fugitives down.
It's a constant game of cat and mouse.
It is. So as we wrap up, what are your final thoughts? What really stood out to you from all these stories?
You know, the thing that gets me is the variation in reward money. I mean, You've got the crypto queen with a $5 million bounty on her head, and then others with significantly less.
It's true. It makes you wonder, how do they even decide how much a fugitive is worth?
Right. Is it about the severity of the crime, the danger they pose, or is it more about, like, how much they think someone's willing to betray them for?
It's like putting a price on justice, which I guess in a way it is.
It is. But it's also a strategy. A big reward attracts attention, puts pressure on the fugitive and those who might be helping them hide.
It's a fascinating aspect of this whole thing, for sure.
It is, and it's a good reminder that there's always more to the story than meets the eye.
Could have said it better myself. Well, thanks for joining me on this wild ride through the FBI's most wanted list. It's been enlightening, to say the least.
The pleasure was all mine. Always happy to dive into these stories with you.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. If you want to learn more about these cases, we'll have links to the FBI's official website in the show notes. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, you never know who might be listening.